I want to be honest with you. For years, I struggled. I prayed, I studied, I tried to transform my life through willpower alone, and I failed again and again. I was teaching these principles, yet I wasn't living them fully. Then, one evening, in a moment of complete surrender, I discovered something so simple it made me weep. It wasn't about the words themselves, it was about the feeling, the conviction, the state of consciousness I brought to those words. And when I combined this understanding with a physical practice, speaking truth into water and drinking it as an act of faith, everything shifted. Tonight, I share this with you not as someone who has all the answers, but as someone who has walked through the darkness and found the light. I know why you're watching this video tonight. You're tired of trying to change and falling back into old patterns, tired of positive thinking that doesn't seem to stick, tired of prayers that feel like they go unanswered. You've read the books, listened to the teachers, maybe even had moments of clarity, but the transformation you long for still feels just out of reach. You want to believe your life can change, but part of you wonders if maybe this is just how it is. Maybe you're not one of the lucky ones. Maybe the spiritual laws work for others, but not for you. But here's what I want you to understand. It's not that the law isn't working. The law is always working. The law of mind, the law of consciousness, the law of assumption, these are as consistent as the law of gravity. The problem isn't the law. The problem is that no one taught you how to apply it correctly. You've been trying to change your mind with your mind. You've been trying to think your way into a new feeling. But that's backwards. Feeling comes first. The subconscious mind, your connection to the creative power of the universe, only responds to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. For over 30 years, I've studied the relationship between consciousness and manifestation. I've worked with thousands of people facing illness, poverty, broken relationships, deep depression, and I've watched them transform their lives not through struggle, but through understanding. Through the simple application of spiritual law. And one of the most powerful practices I've ever taught is this: speaking truth into water and drinking it as an act of faith. It sounds too simple, doesn't it? But that's exactly why it works. Most people think transformation requires years of meditation, complex rituals, or special spiritual gifts. They think you need to be enlightened or chosen or somehow different. But the truth is far simpler and far more democratic. The power to transform your life lives within your own consciousness right now. You don't need to become someone else. You need to awaken to who you already are. You are an individualization of infinite intelligence. The same power that created galaxies beats your heart right now. The same creative force that grows an oak tree from an acorn flows through your thoughts and feelings. What I'm sharing with you tonight isn't just theory. It's not philosophy for philosophy's sake. This is practical mysticism. Ancient wisdom you can apply immediately, tonight, before you go to sleep. The water practice I'm going to teach you serves as a physical anchor for a spiritual truth. That your word, spoken with conviction and feeling, has creative power. When you combine the spoken word with the physical act of drinking water, taking it into your body, you're creating a complete circuit of belief. You're impressing your subconscious mind with the reality you choose to experience. I want you to imagine something with me for just a moment. Imagine waking up tomorrow feeling different. Not because your circumstances have changed yet, but because something inside you has shifted. There's a quiet confidence, a knowing, a sense that the universe is working for you, not against you. Imagine moving through your day from that state of consciousness. How would you walk? How would you speak? How would you treat others? That state is available to you right now. Not someday, right now. And the practice I'm about to teach you is the bridge between where you are and where you long to be. Let me tell you about the people who discovered this truth before you, and what happened when they applied it. 20 years ago, I met a woman who was dying. She had been diagnosed with what the doctors called an incurable illness. They gave her months to live, maybe a year if she was lucky. Her body was failing. She was in constant pain. Every day was a struggle just to get out of bed. And emotionally, spiritually, she was in an even darker place. She felt betrayed by her body. She felt betrayed by God. She had prayed and prayed, but her prayers seemed to go unanswered. She had begun to give up hope. But then something remarkable happened. One morning, lying in her bed, too weak to move, a memory surfaced from her childhood. Her grandmother had taught her something when she was just a little girl, something about water, something about prayer, something about the power of words spoken in faith. At first, she pushed the memory away. It seemed too simple, too foolish. How could words whispered into water possibly help her now when medicine had failed? But she had nothing to lose. In her desperation, she decided to try. Every morning she would ask someone to bring her a glass of water. She would hold that glass in her trembling hands, and she would whisper into it, "My body is whole and perfect. Every cell radiates with divine health. I am healed." She would say it 3 times, and then she would drink that water slowly, deliberately, feeling it go down her throat, imagining it spreading through her body, carrying the truth of those words to every cell. In the beginning, she felt nothing. Part of her felt foolish. Part of her didn't believe it would work. But she kept going. Every morning and every evening, without fail. My body is whole and perfect. Every cell radiates with divine health. I am healed. And gradually something began to shift inside her. It wasn't the physical symptoms at first. It was her consciousness. She began to have moments of peace. Moments where the fear would lift, and she would simply know, somewhere deep inside, that she was going to be all right. Those moments became longer. The peace became deeper, and then the physical changes began. Small at first. She slept a little better. The pain lessened just slightly. She had more energy. Her doctors noticed changes in her blood work, in her scans, changes they couldn't explain. They told her to keep doing whatever she was doing. 6 months later, when they ran comprehensive tests, they found no trace of the disease. They called it a miracle. They called it spontaneous remission. They had no medical explanation for what had happened, but she knew. It wasn't the water that healed her. The water was just water. It was her changed consciousness. It was the fact that every morning and every evening, she had impressed upon her subconscious mind a new truth about herself. She had moved from seeing herself as a sick person hoping to get well, to seeing herself as a well person, as a whole person, as a healed person, and when her consciousness changed, when she truly accepted healing as her reality, her body had no choice but to follow. This is law. This is how consciousness works. The deeper lesson of her story is this: she wasn't begging God to heal her. She wasn't trying to manipulate external forces. She was claiming a truth that already existed in the spiritual realm. In divine mind, in infinite intelligence, she had always been whole. Illness was just a temporary manifestation of a consciousness of fear and separation. When she changed her consciousness, when she aligned with the truth of her divine perfection, the illness had to dissolve. It had no power over her, except the power she gave it through her belief. But you might be wondering, what was she really doing when she spoke to that water? What spiritual law was she activating? Before I explain that, let me share another story. I knew a man who had struggled with poverty his entire life. He had been raised poor. His parents were poor. His grandparents were poor. Poverty was all he knew. And no matter how hard he worked, no matter how many hours he put in, he could never seem to get ahead. He was drowning in debt. His credit was ruined. He felt like a complete failure. As a husband, as a father, as a man. Every day, he would wake up with a knot of anxiety in his stomach, terrified to check his bank account, terrified of what bill would come in the mail, terrified that he would never be able to provide for his family. His pattern was constant worry about money. He would check his bank account 5, 10 times a day, as if watching it would somehow make more money appear. He felt victimized by the economy, by his boss, by circumstances beyond his control, and when he prayed, he would beg God for money. "Please God, send me money. I need money. My family needs money." But even as he prayed, he felt unworthy to receive. Deep down, He believed he didn't deserve prosperity. He believed that poverty was his lot in life. Then one evening, he came to one of my lectures. I was teaching about the power of consciousness, about the law of assumption, about how we create our reality through our beliefs. And I mentioned this practice of speaking truth into water. He was skeptical. He thought it sounded foolish. But he was also desperate. He had tried everything else. What did he have to lose? So he started the practice. Every morning before work, and every evening before bed, he would hold a glass of water and speak into it. I am abundance. Money flows to me easily and constantly. I am a channel for divine prosperity. At first, he felt like he was lying. The words felt hollow. How could he say he was abundant when his bank account was empty? How could he say money flowed easily when he was drowning in debt? But I had told him, don't let appearances deceive you. Speak from the end. Speak from the reality you choose, not from the reality you see. So he persisted. And something interesting began to happen. He noticed that every time he spoke those words into the water, he would feel a little lift, a little lightness. For those few moments, as he spoke and drank, he would actually feel abundant. He would feel the truth of it. And he began to carry that feeling with him throughout the day, even when his circumstances hadn't changed. Then he made a decision. He stopped checking his bank account obsessively. He realized that every time he checked it from a place of fear, he was reinforcing his consciousness of lack. Instead, he would check it once a week, and when he did, he would say thank you for what was there, rather than lamenting what wasn't. He started acting as if he were already the prosperous person he was claiming to be. Not in foolish ways, not spending money he didn't have, but in his consciousness, in his attitude, in how he carried himself. And then the manifestations began. Small at first. An unexpected tax refund. A rebate check he had forgotten about. Then larger things. An old debt that a company wrote off as uncollectible, removing it from his record. A friend offering him a side job that paid surprisingly well. An opportunity for a promotion at work that he wouldn't have noticed before because he had been so consumed by fear. Within 6 months, his financial situation had completely turned around. The debt was manageable. Money was coming in from multiple sources. He had savings for the first time in his life. But the most remarkable change wasn't in his bank account. It was in his consciousness. He no longer felt like a victim. He no longer felt poor, even when he had been poor in his circumstances. He had discovered something profound. The money was always trying to reach him. Prosperity was always his divine birthright. But his consciousness of lack had been blocking it. He had been living from poverty consciousness, and so he created poverty. When he changed his consciousness, when he began to assume abundance, the money had to follow. His revelation was this: I was my own prison. I was the one keeping prosperity away with my beliefs, with my constant worry, with my feeling of unworthiness. The moment I changed my inner world, my outer world had no choice but to reflect it. And the water practice, that simple daily ritual, was what helped me change my consciousness. It gave me a tangible way to impress new beliefs on my subconscious mind. Now, both of these people discovered the same principle, but they applied it to different circumstances. What is this principle? What makes this practice so powerful? There's something happening beneath the surface. Let me tell you about a young student I worked with. This person was plagued by anxiety and panic attacks. They couldn't sleep. They couldn't focus on their studies. They would wake up in the middle of the night with their heart racing, feeling like they were going to die, feeling like they were going crazy. It was affecting every area of their life. They couldn't maintain relationships. They couldn't perform well in school. They felt trapped in a nightmare. They had gone to doctors. They had been put on medication that helped numb the symptoms, but didn't heal the root cause. They were in therapy, which helped them understand their anxiety but didn't seem to free them from it. They were exhausted. They were losing hope. Then they came across some research about water memory, about how water responds to consciousness, about how our thoughts and words can actually affect the molecular structure of water. Something about this fascinated them. If water could be affected by consciousness, and their body was 70% water. What did that mean? They decided to try the practice. 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, and evening, they would speak into water. I am peace. I am calm. I am safe. All is well. But they didn't just speak the words mechanically. They would close their eyes and imagine what peace felt like. They would remember moments in their childhood when they had felt completely safe. They would generate that feeling in their body, and then they would speak the words from that feeling, I am peace. And then they would drink the water slowly, visualizing peace as a golden light spreading through every cell of their body. The first few days, nothing changed. The anxiety was still there. But they kept going, and gradually, they began to notice something. The panic attacks were still coming, but there would be moments of calm in between. Moments where they felt okay. Those moments grew longer. The attacks grew less frequent, less intense. After a month, they realized they had gone 3 days without a panic attack. After 2 months, they had gone 2 weeks. After 6 months, they couldn't remember the last time they'd had one. But more importantly, they had a profound insight. They realized that anxiety had just been a habit of consciousness. It wasn't who they were. It wasn't their true nature. Their true nature was peace. The anxiety was just a pattern they had learned, a way their nervous system had learned to respond to life. And just as they had learned it, they could unlearn it. They could choose a new pattern. The water practice was their tool for impressing that new pattern on their subconscious mind. They shared with me later that the most powerful part wasn't even the relief from anxiety. It was the identity shift. They went from thinking of themselves as an anxious person, someone who would always struggle with anxiety, to understanding themselves as a peaceful being who was temporarily experiencing some anxiety. That shift in identity changed everything. Today, they live without medication, they're thriving in their studies, and they're teaching this practice to others who are struggling. You see, these 3 people weren't doing magic. They weren't manipulating external forces. They were doing something far more profound. They were changing their consciousness. And your consciousness is the only thing that ever needs to change. Let me explain why. But first I need to share my own story because I don't want you to think I'm teaching from some ivory tower pretending I've always had this figured out. For years, even as I was studying these principles, even as I was teaching them to others, I struggled to fully embody them in my own life. I understood them intellectually. I could explain the law of mind. I could talk about the subconscious. I could quote scripture and philosophy. But there was a gap between what I knew and how I lived. I would have moments of faith, and then I would fall back into doubt. I would teach these truths on Sunday, and then live from fear on Monday. I felt like a hypocrite. Then I went through a crisis, a failure so profound, so personal, that it brought me to my knees. I won't go into all the details, but suffice it to say, I was faced with the reality that I had not been living what I was teaching. And one night, at 2 a.m, unable to sleep, consumed by shame and despair, I had a complete breakdown. I went into my kitchen and I just wept. I said to God, to infinite intelligence, to whatever was listening, I don't know how to do this. I teach these principles, but I don't know how to live them. I'm failing. Help me. And in that moment of complete surrender, I remembered something. An ancient practice I had read about years before but had dismissed as too simple. The practice of speaking truth into water. I don't know why it came to me in that moment, but it did. And I felt drawn to try it, even though part of me felt foolish. I filled a glass with water. I held it in my trembling hands. And through my tears, I spoke into it. I am transformed. I am an instrument of divine love. I am worthy. I am enough. And as I spoke those words, something broke open inside me. The resistance I had been carrying for years, the self-judgment, the fear, it began to melt. I drank that water, and I felt it. I actually felt something shift. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't lightning bolts. It was just a quiet knowing that I was going to be okay. That I was loved. That I could begin again. I committed right then to doing this practice every single morning and every single evening for 90 days, without exception. No matter how I felt, no matter what was happening in my life, I would speak truth into water and drink it. The first few weeks were hard. Old patterns die hard. I would catch myself falling back into negative thinking, into self-criticism, but every morning and every evening, I would return to the practice. I am transformed. I am an instrument of divine love. I am worthy. I am enough. The shifts were subtle at first. I noticed I had more patience with myself and others. I was less reactive. When challenges arose, instead of spiraling into fear, I would feel this quiet stability underneath. By the end of the 90 days, I barely recognized the person I had been 3 months before. My consciousness had shifted so profoundly. The circumstances of my life began to change as well, but that was secondary. The real transformation was internal. This practice became my foundation, my daily sacrament, and I share it with you now not as someone who has arrived, not as someone who never struggles, but as a fellow traveler who has found something that works. Something simple, something powerful, something anyone can do. Now, I want to explain to you exactly why this works, and how you can begin using it tonight. Everything I'm about to teach you is based on one fundamental truth. Consciousness is the only reality. Everything else is an effect of consciousness. Your world, your circumstances, your experiences, they are all reflections of your state of consciousness. Change your consciousness, and your world must change. This is law. Let me break this down. Your subconscious mind is your connection to infinite intelligence. It is the creative power within you. Its function is very simple. It accepts whatever you impress upon it, and then it creates corresponding conditions in your life. It's like a garden. Whatever seeds you plant, it will grow. It doesn't argue with you. It doesn't judge whether the seeds are good or bad. It simply accepts and creates. This is crucial to understand. Your subconscious mind doesn't reason. It doesn't have opinions. It is completely neutral and completely obedient. The problem is that most people are impressing their subconscious mind unconsciously. They're planting weeds without realizing it. Every time you say, "I can't afford it," your subconscious accepts that. Every time you say, "I'm so tired, I'm always sick, nothing works for me," your subconscious is listening. It doesn't know you're just venting. It takes your word as truth and begins to create conditions that match those words. This is why so many people seem stuck in patterns. They keep impressing the same negative beliefs on their subconscious day after day, year after year, and then they wonder why their life doesn't change. The solution is to deliberately, consciously impress your subconscious with the state you desire. And here's the key. Your subconscious doesn't speak the language of logic. It speaks the language of feeling. You can affirm something 1,000 times with your conscious mind, but if you don't feel it, if there's no emotion behind it, it won't take root. This is where most people fail with affirmations and positive thinking. They're trying to convince their subconscious with logic, with repetition of empty words. But the subconscious doesn't care about words. It cares about the feeling behind the words. This is where the water practice becomes so powerful. It gives you a physical act, a ritual, a moment where you stop and focus completely on impressing your subconscious. When you hold that glass of water, when you speak into it with feeling, when you drink it deliberately, you are creating a complete impression. You're engaging your mind, your emotions, and your body all at once. This is why it works when other methods fail. Think of your subconscious mind like soil. Rich, fertile soil that will grow anything you plant in it. Most people are unconsciously planting weeds, thoughts of fear, doubt, limitation, and then they wonder why their garden is full of weeds. The water practice is you consciously planting seeds of truth. I am healed. I am abundant. I am peace. I am loved. And when you repeat this day after day with feeling, those seeds take root, they grow, and eventually they crowd out the weeds. But here's what you must understand. You can't plant seeds of truth and then dig them up every day to check if they're growing. You must plant them with faith and leave them alone. Trust the process. Trust the law. Your job is to impress your subconscious. The subconscious's job is to create the conditions. When you interfere with doubt, when you constantly check for results, you're actually planting new seeds of lack. You're saying, I don't really believe this is working. And guess what your subconscious hears? It hears, I don't believe. And it creates conditions that match that doubt. So the remedy is repetition, with feeling until the new belief becomes automatic, until it's so impressed on your subconscious that you don't have to think about it anymore. This is why I always recommend 90 days minimum. It takes time to overwrite old patterns. It takes time for new beliefs to become your automatic way of thinking and feeling. But if you persist, the law cannot fail. This is not my opinion. This is not wishful thinking. This is spiritual law, as reliable as the law of gravity. Now let's talk about the creative power of the spoken word. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. This ancient wisdom tells us something profound. Your word is creative. Your word carries power. When you speak, you are not just making noise. You are setting vibrations in motion. You are impressing consciousness. You are creating. The problem is that most people use their words carelessly. They speak their problems into existence without realizing it. Listen to how people talk. I can't afford that. I'm so stressed. I'm always tired. This is too hard. I never get what I want. Nothing ever works out for me. These aren't just innocent statements. These are declarations. These are impressions on the subconscious mind. And the subconscious, faithful servant that it is, says yes, Master, and creates conditions that match those words. The reversal is to speak deliberately. To speak your desired reality, as if it's already true. Not I hope to be healed someday, but I am healed. Not I'm trying to be abundant, but I am abundant. This is not lying. This is speaking spiritual truth. In divine mind, in the realm of infinite possibility, you are already whole, already abundant, already free. You're simply claiming what is already yours. You're speaking from the end, instead of speaking from lack. Now, why specifically whisper into water? Because it creates a sacred moment. It breaks the pattern of unconscious speech. Most of the time, we talk without thinking, we let words tumble out carelessly, but when you deliberately take a glass of water, hold it, and whisper into it, you're creating a ritual. You're signaling to your subconscious that this is important. This is intentional. Pay attention. This matters. There's also fascinating science around this. Research on water memory has shown that water can be affected by consciousness, by intention, by the words spoken to it. I'm not saying you're changing the water in some mystical sense, though perhaps you are. What I'm saying is that the act of speaking to water engages something deep in your psyche. Water is symbolic. It represents consciousness, life, receptivity, purification. In every spiritual tradition, water is sacred. Baptism, ablution, blessing. We've always known, intuitively, that water is special. And here's the beautiful part. Your body is 70% water. When you speak truth into that glass of water and then drink it, what are you really doing? You're speaking to your own body consciousness. You're taking truth into every cell. You're saying to your entire being, this is who we are now. This is our reality. Receive it. Accept it. Embody it. The practice combines the spoken word with the physical sacrament, and this creates a complete circuit. Your mind speaks the truth. Your heart feels the truth. Your body receives the truth. This is why it's so powerful. You're not just thinking positive thoughts. You're creating a full-body experience of your desired reality. And when all three levels, mind, heart, and body, are aligned, transformation is inevitable. Let me share with you something called the law of assumption. This is one of the most important principles you can ever understand. You become what you assume yourself to be. Not what you wish to be. Not what you hope to be. What you assume. An assumption is something you take for granted as true, whether you have evidence for it or not. And here's what's fascinating. Your assumptions create your reality far more powerfully than your conscious desires. Think about it like this. A person can desire wealth with all their heart, but if they assume they're unlucky with money, if they assume poverty is their lot in life, they will remain poor. On the other hand, a person who assumes abundance, who takes prosperity for granted as their natural state, will become wealthy even if they start with nothing. Why? Because your assumptions determine your state of consciousness, and your state of consciousness creates your world. Most people live from the assumption of lack. They assume they're not good enough, not smart enough, not worthy enough. They assume life is hard, that good things don't happen to them, that they have to struggle, and guess what? Life gives them exactly what they assume, not because life is cruel, but because life is law. Consciousness creates reality. Your assumptions are your consciousness. Therefore, your assumptions create your reality. The water practice is a tool for changing your assumptions. When you speak into water, I am healed, and you drink it with feeling, you're not hoping to be healed someday. You're assuming healing right now. You're claiming it as already true. You're impressing your subconscious with a new assumption. And when you do this consistently, day after day, the new assumption becomes natural. It becomes automatic. It becomes who you are. And when that happens, when healing becomes your assumption, your body must respond. It has no choice. This is law. But here's where people get confused. They say, but I'm lying. I'm not healed yet. I'm not abundant yet. How can I say I am when I'm not? And this is the crucial distinction. You're not speaking physical fact. You're speaking spiritual truth. In the realm of consciousness, in infinite intelligence, all states exist now. Healing exists now. Abundance exists now. Peace exists now. When you assume any of these states, when you claim them in consciousness, you're not creating them. They already exist. You're simply selecting them, tuning into them, aligning yourself with them. Think of it like a radio. All the stations are broadcasting simultaneously. You're not creating the music when you turn the dial. The music already exists. You're just tuning into it. When you assume health, when you feel yourself as the healthy person, you're tuning into the frequency of health. And your body, which is just energy, just consciousness in form, must tune to that frequency as well. The water practice helps you do this. It helps you move from wanting, which implies I don't have, to assuming, which implies I do have. And this shift in consciousness, from lack to fulfillment, from reaching to resting in, this is what allows transformation to occur. Not I want to be healed, but I am healed. Not I hope to be prosperous, but I am prospered. Not I'm trying to find peace, but I am peace. You must speak from the end. You must speak as the person who already is what you desire to be. And you must feel it true. This is faith. Which brings me to my next point. Faith is feeling. Most people think faith is mental belief. They think it's hoping something will happen, or trying to convince themselves of something. But true faith, biblical faith, spiritual faith, is feeling your wish fulfilled before you have physical evidence. The scripture says faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. What does this mean? It means faith gives substance to your desire. It makes it real in consciousness before it's real in form. Faith is not hoping. Faith is knowing. It's the inner conviction that what you desire already is, even though you don't see it yet. And how do you develop this knowing? Through feeling. When you speak truth into water and drink it, if you're doing it correctly, you feel that truth. You don't just say the words. You generate the emotion of already being that person, already having that reality. This feeling is what impresses your subconscious. This feeling is what changes your state of consciousness. This feeling is faith in action. The water serves as a sacrament. In religious tradition, a sacrament is an outward sign of an inward grace. When you drink that water, you're performing an act of faith. You're saying, I receive this truth into my very being. I accept it. I embody it. It's not just words floating in the air anymore. It's in your body. You've literally taken it in. This is powerful, symbolically, and psychologically. And this is why you must do it daily. Faith is like a muscle. It must be exercised to grow strong. In the beginning, you may not feel much. You may feel like you're just going through the motions. That's okay. Keep going. With repetition, faith strengthens. The feeling becomes easier to access. The conviction becomes deeper. Eventually, it becomes unshakable. You just know. And when you have that level of faith, manifestation is instantaneous, not in time, but in consciousness. And once it's real in consciousness, time is the only thing between you and physical manifestation. Let me talk now about water as sacred symbol, because understanding this adds another layer of depth to the practice. Throughout history, in every culture, water has been recognized as sacred. In Christianity, baptism. In Islam, ablution before prayer. In Hinduism, bathing in the Ganges. In Judaism, the mikveh. Water is used to purify, to cleanse, to renew, to bless. Why? Because water represents consciousness itself. Water is receptive. It takes the shape of whatever container it's in. Consciousness is the same. It takes the form of whatever beliefs, whatever assumptions you hold. Water is life. You cannot live without it. Consciousness is life. Nothing exists outside of consciousness. Water flows. Consciousness flows. Water can be still or turbulent. So can consciousness. Water reflects. Consciousness reflects your inner state in your outer world. When you speak truth into water, you're working with this ancient symbolic understanding. You're not just performing a random act. You're engaging with something that resonates at a deep, archetypal level. Your subconscious mind understands symbols. It thinks in images, in feelings, in metaphors. When you drink blessed water, water that you've spoken truth into, your subconscious recognizes this as sacred. It pays attention. And remember, your body is 70% water. When you realize this, the practice takes on even more meaning. You're not just drinking a glass of water. You're speaking to the water within you. You're blessing your own body. You're programming every cell. Modern science tells us that water has memory, that it can hold information. What if the water in your cells is holding the information of every thought you've ever thought, every word you've ever spoken to yourself? What if anxiety, illness, lack are just information patterns in the water of your body? When you deliberately, consciously speak new truth into water and drink it, you're overwriting old information. You're reprogramming yourself at a cellular level. This isn't mystical nonsense. This is the intersection of ancient wisdom and modern understanding. And whether you believe the science or not, doesn't matter. What matters is the practice works. When you do this consistently, with faith and feeling, your life changes. That's all the proof you need. Now let's talk about living from the end. This is a concept I teach often because it's so crucial. Living from the end means experiencing in your imagination, in your feeling, the reality you desire, as if it's already accomplished. Most people live from the beginning. They live from the lack, from the problem, from the wish. I want to be healed. I want to be abundant. I want to find love. This is living from the beginning, from the state of not having. Living from the end is being the healed person, the abundant person, the loved person right now. In consciousness, it's not imagining it in the future, it's claiming it now. And the water practice supports this beautifully. Each time you drink your water, you're not reaching for something you don't have, you're accepting something that already is. You're living from the end. For example, if you desire healing, you don't speak "please heal me" into the water. That's begging from a position of sickness. Instead you speak "I am healed. I am whole. Every cell in my body radiates perfect health." And as you speak it and drink it, you be that person. You feel what it feels like to be completely healthy. You move through your day as that person. This is living from the end. If you desire abundance, you don't speak "I need money." You speak "I am abundance." Money flows to me easily and constantly. I am a channel for divine prosperity, and you feel wealthy. Not someday. Right now. You feel the relief, the freedom, the generosity that comes with abundance. You be that person now, in consciousness. And when you sustain this state, when you live from the end consistently, the physical manifestation must follow. It cannot not follow. This is law. The shift is from begging to claiming, from hoping to knowing, from becoming to being. Most spiritual seekers spend their whole lives becoming. I'm becoming enlightened. I'm becoming abundant. I'm becoming healed. But you can spend forever becoming and never arrive. The secret is to be it now. Claim it now. In consciousness, it already is. The water practice helps you anchor this truth every single day. Now I want to give you the exact practice, step by step, so you can begin tonight. This is simple, but simplicity doesn't mean it's not powerful. In fact, the most powerful truths are always simple. So here's what you do. When you wake up in the morning, before you check your phone, before anxiety or worry can take hold of your mind, before you start thinking about all your problems, reach for a glass of water. Have it ready by your bedside the night before if you need to. This is important. Make this the first thing you do. Hold that glass of water in both hands. Cup it gently. Feel the coolness of it. Feel the weight of it. Bring your attention fully to this moment, to this simple act. Take 3 deep breaths. Breathe in slowly through your nose. Breathe out through your mouth. Let your mind settle. Let your body relax. Come into the present moment. This is your sacred time. This is your time to communicate with infinite intelligence through your own consciousness. Now, speak your truth into the water. Choose one statement, one affirmation, one reality that you're claiming. If you need healing, speak I am healed. If you need abundance, speak I am abundant. If you need peace, speak I am peace. If you need love, speak I am loved. Keep it simple. Keep it in present tense. Keep it positive. Don't say I am not sick. Say I am healthy. Don't say I am not poor. Say I am prosperous. The subconscious doesn't process negatives well. It hears the image, not the negation. Whisper these words into the water. You don't have to be loud. In fact, a whisper is more intimate, more personal. It creates a sense of sacredness. As you speak, feel the truth of the words. Don't just say them mechanically. Generate the emotion. If you're speaking I am healed, feel what it would feel like to be completely healthy. Feel the gratitude. Feel the relief. Feel the joy. If you're speaking I am abundant, feel what it's like to have more than enough. Feel the freedom. Feel the generosity. Feel the security. Repeat your statement 3 times. 3 is a sacred number across many traditions. It creates rhythm. It creates emphasis. It allows the truth to sink deeper with each repetition. So speak it once. Feel it. Speak it again. Feel it deeper. Speak it a 3rd time, and really let it fill you. Then drink the water slowly. Don't just gulp it down. Sip it. Feel it going down your throat. Feel it spreading through your body. Visualize it carrying that truth to every cell. Imagine every cell of your body receiving this message. Imagine your whole being responding, yes, yes, this is who we are. This is our truth. Feel it integrating into your physical body, not just your mind. After you finish drinking, take a moment to say thank you. Thank you to infinite intelligence, to God, to the universe, to your higher self, whatever language resonates with you. Thank you for this truth. Thank you for this transformation. Thank you that it is already done. Gratitude is powerful. It affirms that you've received. It seals the impression. Then go about your day. Don't obsess over it. Don't keep checking to see if it's working. Don't test it. Just trust it. Carry that feeling with you as much as you can, but don't strain. Don't force. Just let it be there gently in the background. You've planted the seed. Now let it grow. In the evening, before you go to sleep, repeat the entire process. This is crucial. The last thoughts you have before sleep go directly into your subconscious, without the interference of your conscious, critical mind. So make them good thoughts. Make them true thoughts. Hold your water. Breathe. Speak your truth 3 times with feeling. Drink it slowly. Give thanks. And then go to sleep in that state of consciousness, in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Do this every single morning and every single evening, for 90 days minimum. Don't skip days, don't make excuses. This is your commitment to yourself, to your transformation. 90 days is what it takes to really establish a new pattern in your subconscious mind. Some people see changes sooner. Some take longer. It doesn't matter. What matters is consistency. What matters is faith. What matters is feeling. Now let me share some advanced techniques for those of you who want to go deeper. You can add visualization to your practice. As you drink the water, close your eyes and see divine light, golden or white, flowing through the water into your body. See that light spreading through every organ, every cell, every atom. See it dissolving any darkness, any illness, any limitation. See yourself glowing with this light. You can use both hands to hold the glass in a gesture of receiving, of reverence. Make it a sacred offering to yourself. If you're alone, you can speak the words aloud instead of whispering. Your voice carries even more power when you hear it with your own ears. You can create a small ceremony around this. Use a special glass that you use only for this practice. Choose a specific location in your home where you do this. Light a candle, if that helps you feel the sacredness of the moment. You can also tailor your practice to specific issues. If you're working on physical healing, you might say, "My body is a temple of the living God. Every cell is vibrant with divine health. I am whole, I am strong, I am healed." If you're working on relationships, you might say, "I am loved, I am loving, I attract harmonious and beautiful relationships. Love flows to me and through me effortlessly." If you're working on your life purpose, you might say, "I am guided by divine wisdom. I am directed to my perfect place. I am fulfilling my divine purpose with joy and ease." For prosperity consciousness, you might say, "I am a channel for infinite abundance. Money flows to me easily and constantly from expected and unexpected sources. I am prospered in all my ways." For inner peace, you might say, "I am calm. I am centered. I am at peace. All is well in my soul. The anxiety has no power over me. I rest in divine peace." Now let me warn you about some common pitfalls so you can avoid them. The first is mechanical repetition without feeling. If you just say the words like a robot, like you're reading a grocery list, nothing will happen. The words themselves have no magic. The power is in the feeling you bring to the words. So, always generate the emotion. Feel it true. If you can't feel it at first, fake it till you make it. Pretend. Use your imagination. Your subconscious doesn't know the difference between real and imagined emotion. It only knows what you impress upon it. The second pitfall is inconsistency. Missing days weakens the impression. It's like planting seeds and then not watering them. You have to be disciplined. You have to make this non-negotiable. I don't care how busy you are. You have 2 minutes in the morning and 2 minutes in the evening. If you don't have 2 minutes twice a day for your own transformation, you need to look at your priorities. This is your life. This is your consciousness. This is your connection to infinite intelligence. Make it important. The third pitfall is testing from doubt. This is a big one. People start the practice, and then every day they're checking. Is it working yet? Do I feel different yet? Has anything changed yet? And they're checking from a place of doubt, from a place of "I don't really believe this." And guess what they're impressing on their subconscious? Doubt. Lack. It's not working. And so it doesn't work. You have to let go. You have to trust. Plant the seed and walk away. The farmer doesn't dig up the seed every day to see if it's growing. He plants it, waters it, and trusts the process. You must do the same. The fourth pitfall is forcing or straining. Desperation repels. Grasping repels. Faith attracts. Peace attracts. So don't do this practice from a place of, I have to make this work or else. Do it from a place of, I am claiming what is already mine. I am aligning with divine truth. I am resting in the law. There's no strain in that. There's no desperation. There's just quiet confidence. Now let me tell you how to integrate this practice into the rest of your life, because the water ritual is powerful, but it's even more powerful when supported by how you live throughout the day. Every time you drink water during the day, not just your morning and evening practice, you can briefly remember your truth. You don't have to do the whole ritual. Just a moment, a thought. I am healed. I am abundant. I am peace. Let every sip of water be a reminder of your divine nature. Watch your speech throughout the day. Catch yourself when you start to speak negatively. When you catch yourself saying, I can't, or I'm so tired, or nothing ever works, stop, reframe it immediately. I can figure this out. I'm choosing to rest. Things are working out for me. Your words matter. Every word is an impression on your subconscious. Every word is creating your reality. So speak consciously, speak deliberately, act as if. This is important. Move through your world as the person you're claiming to be in your water practice. If you're claiming abundance, don't hoard, don't penny pinch from fear, be generous when you can, tip well, give, move like someone who has enough and more than enough. If you're claiming health, don't constantly talk about your symptoms. Don't identify with the illness. Move like a healthy person. Do what a healthy person would do, within reason. See others as expressions of the divine. Bless them silently. When you see someone struggling, don't join them in their consciousness of struggle. Silently affirm for them they are blessed, they are guided, they are cared for by infinite intelligence. What you affirm for others, you affirm for yourself. What you bless in others, you bless in yourself. When doubts arise, and they will, don't fight them. Fighting gives them power. Just acknowledge them and return to your practice. Oh, there's doubt. That's just old consciousness. And then speak your truth again. Each doubt is actually an opportunity to reaffirm what you know to be true. Think of doubts as the last gasps of the old pattern trying to maintain itself. But it has no power unless you give it power. You're establishing a new pattern now. Let me tell you what to expect as you continue this practice over time. The first week or two, it may feel awkward. It may feel mechanical. You may feel like you're just going through the motions. That's normal. Keep going. Don't judge it. Don't decide it's not working. Just keep showing up. By week 3 or 4, something starts to shift. The practice begins to feel more natural. You start to actually feel the truth of what you're speaking. You notice small changes. Maybe you sleep better. Maybe you feel more peaceful. Maybe you have a good day out of nowhere. These are signs. The seed is taking root. By the second month, your faith strengthens. You start to see synchronicities. Opportunities appear. People show up at the right time. Money comes from unexpected sources. Your health improves. Whatever you're working on, you start to see evidence. But here's what's important. The evidence is never the point. The evidence is just a reflection of your changed consciousness. Don't get attached to the evidence. Stay focused on maintaining the state of consciousness. By the third month, the new assumption starts to feel normal. You're not trying to believe anymore. You just do believe. It's become automatic. You are that person now in consciousness. And when that happens, manifestation accelerates. Things start to move quickly. What seemed impossible becomes possible, then probable, then inevitable, then done. Beyond 90 days, this practice becomes a way of life. It's not something you have to remember to do. It's just who you are. You're someone who speaks truth to yourself every day. You're someone who lives from the end. You're someone who knows their power. And your life reflects that. But what if you're doing the practice and nothing seems to be happening? Let me troubleshoot this with you. If you don't feel anything when you do the practice, start with gratitude. Gratitude is easier to access than faith sometimes. So speak thank you. Thank you for my healing. Thank you for my abundance. Thank you for my peace. Even if you don't see it yet, give thanks for it. Gratitude implies it's done. Gratitude opens your heart. And when your heart is open, feeling comes more easily. You can also use memory to access feeling. Remember a time when you felt really good, really healthy, really safe, really happy. Bring up that memory. Feel what you felt then. And then speak your affirmation from that feeling. Your subconscious responds to the feeling, not to where the feeling came from. So borrow feeling from the past to impress the future. Or use your imagination. This is what I teach constantly. Imagination is your creative power. If you've never been abundant, imagine what it would feel like. Make it up. Pretend. Get into character. You're an actor playing the role of the abundant person, the healthy person, the peaceful person. Play that role fully. And as you play it, as you imagine it, as you feel it, it becomes real in consciousness. And what's real in consciousness must become real in form. If nothing seems to be changing in your outer world, ask yourself, has my inner world changed? Do I feel more peaceful? Do I feel more hopeful? Do I feel more faith? If the answer is yes, then it's working. The outer world is always the last to change. It lags behind consciousness. So be patient. Keep impressing your subconscious. Keep living from the end. Keep feeling it true. The physical manifestation will come. It must come. This is law. Are you living from the end, or are you checking from lack? This is crucial. Every time you anxiously check your bank account, you're affirming lack. Every time you obsess over your symptoms, you're affirming illness. Every time you wonder if it's working, you're affirming doubt. Stop checking. Start living. Live as if it's already done, because in consciousness, it is already done. If you forget to do the practice, don't beat yourself up. Just begin again. Set reminders on your phone. Put a glass by your bed so you see it first thing in the morning. Make it so easy you can't forget. Remember, this is not a burden, this is a gift you're giving yourself. This is your time to commune with infinite intelligence. This is your time to claim your good. You deserve this time. If you feel foolish talking to water, remember this. You're not talking to the water. You're impressing your own consciousness. You're using the water as a physical symbol, a sacrament, to make the spiritual truth tangible. Jesus spoke to the wind and the waves. He told them, "Peace, be still." And they obeyed him. Why? Because he understood that everything is consciousness. Everything responds to the words spoken with authority and faith. You have that same power within you. You are made in the image and likeness of God. You are an individualization of infinite intelligence. Your word has creative power. Use it. My dear friend, let me leave you with this. Everything I've shared with you tonight comes down to one simple truth. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are a creator of circumstances through your consciousness. The water practice is not magic. It's law. It's practical mysticism. It's taking eternal spiritual truth and applying it in a tangible, daily way that your subconscious mind can accept and embody. When you whisper truth into water and drink it, you're doing something profound. You're claiming your divine inheritance. You're telling your subconscious mind, this is who I am. This is my reality. I accept it now. And when you persist in this practice with faith and feeling, your subconscious has no choice but to create conditions that match your conviction. This is not my opinion. This is not hope. This is law. Law as reliable as gravity, as consistent as the sunrise, as certain as mathematics. You don't need to understand all the metaphysics. You don't need to be spiritually advanced. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to begin. Start tonight. Right now, after you finish watching this, go get a glass of water. Choose one truth about yourself. One reality you want to experience. If you're sick, claim health. If you're poor, claim abundance. If you're anxious, claim peace. If you're lonely, claim love. Whatever you need, whatever you desire, Claim it. Speak it into that water with feeling. I am healed. I am abundant. I am peace. I am loved. Say it 3 times. Feel it true. Drink that water slowly, deliberately, as a sacrament. Feel it spreading through your body, carrying that truth to every cell. And then say thank you. Thank you that it is done. Thank you that I have received. Thank you for this transformation. Do it again tomorrow morning, and tomorrow evening, and the next morning. For 90 days, give this practice your faith and your consistency. Don't miss a day. Don't half do it. Show up fully. Speak with conviction. Feel it true. And watch what happens. I promise you, if you persist, you will not be the same person 3 months from now. Your consciousness will transform. And when consciousness transforms, your world must follow. This is law. I've seen this work in my own life. I've seen it work in the lives of thousands of people I've counseled, I've taught, I've prayed with. I've seen people healed of diseases doctors couldn't cure. I've seen people rise out of poverty into abundance. I've seen broken relationships restored. I've seen addictions dissolved. I've seen anxiety and depression replaced with peace and joy. I've seen people find their purpose, their passion, their power. And it always begins the same way, with a decision. A decision to take responsibility for their consciousness. A decision to stop living as a victim and start living as a creator. A decision to claim their good instead of begging for it. A decision to apply spiritual law instead of hoping for miracles. And often, that decision is supported by a simple practice, speaking truth into water and drinking it as an act of faith. So I leave you with this affirmation. Speak it with me now, or write it down and use it tonight as you begin your practice. I am transformed. Every cell in my body responds to divine truth. I drink in wholeness, abundance, peace, and love. I am an expression of infinite intelligence, and I claim my good now. I am grateful. It is done. And so it is. Carry this truth with you, my friend. You are powerful beyond measure. You are loved beyond comprehension. You are here for a purpose. You are not an accident. You are not a mistake. You are not powerless. You are a divine being, having a human experience. And you have within you right now everything you need to transform your life. Not someday. Not when you're more spiritual. Not when you're more worthy. Right now. The power is in your consciousness. The power is in your word. The power is in your faith. And this simple practice of speaking truth into water and drinking it is a way to focus that power, to direct it, to apply it deliberately every single day. Begin living from that truth tonight. If this teaching resonated with you, if something I said sparked hope or recognition in your heart, I want to invite you to do 3 things. First, subscribe to this channel. I share these principles regularly, and there is so much more wisdom to explore together. These are not just nice ideas. These are laws. These are truths that work, and you deserve to have them in your life consistently. So subscribe. Make this teaching a regular part of your journey. Second, leave a like on this video if it helped you, if it moved you, if it gave you something valuable. That simple act helps other people who are searching, who are suffering, who are desperate for hope, find these teachings. You might think it's just a little click, but it could be the difference between someone finding this video and someone staying stuck in despair. So if this blessed you, bless someone else by leaving a like. And third, this is the most important one, leave a comment below sharing your experience. Tell me, what truth will you speak into your water tonight? What reality are you claiming? Are you claiming healing? Are you claiming abundance? Are you claiming peace? Are you claiming love? Are you claiming purpose? Share it. Write it down. Declare it. There's power in declaration. And as you continue this practice, over the coming days and weeks, come back and share your transformation. Tell us what's happening. Tell us what's changing. Tell us how your consciousness is shifting. Tell us about the synchronicities, the opportunities, the manifestations. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to believe this is possible for them too. We're all connected. We're all one consciousness experiencing itself in different forms. When you share your victory, you give hope to everyone who hears it. And if you're struggling, if you've tried this and it's not working yet, share that too. Ask questions. Ask for support. This is a community of seekers, of students, of fellow travelers on the path. We're here to help each other. I read the comments. I see your questions. I see your struggles. And I'm here to guide you as best I can. Remember, my friend, you are not alone on this journey. You've never been alone. Infinite intelligence is with you always, within you always, expressing as you always. You are loved, you are supported, you are guided, and you have the power within you right now to change your life. Not by struggling, not by forcing, not by trying harder, but by changing your consciousness, by impressing your subconscious mind with new truths, by assuming the state you desire, by living from the end, by speaking with faith and feeling. The water practice is your tool. Use it, commit to it, give it 90 days of your life. That's all I ask. 90 days of faith, 90 days of consistency, 90 days of speaking truth to yourself every morning and every evening, and watch your world transform. I believe in you. More importantly, infinite intelligence believes in you. You were created for greatness. You were created for abundance. You were created for joy. You were created for love. Claim it. It's yours. Now, before I leave you tonight, I want to share one more thing. I want to tell you about what happens when you truly commit to this practice, when you make it a non-negotiable part of your life. Because I've watched thousands of people over the years, and there's a pattern to transformation. There's a journey that almost everyone goes through, and I want you to know what to expect so you don't give up when you hit the challenging parts. In the first week, you'll probably feel excited. There's something about a new practice, a new hope, that gives us energy. You'll wake up eager to do your water ritual. You'll feel inspired. You'll tell yourself this time is different. This time I'm really going to change. And that enthusiasm is beautiful. Use it, let it carry you through those first days. But know that enthusiasm alone won't sustain you. Enthusiasm fades. What sustains you is discipline and faith. Around week 2 or 3, you'll probably hit what I call the desert period. The excitement wears off. You don't see results yet. You start to feel like nothing's happening. Your old doubts creep back in. This is just positive thinking. This is silly. Nothing ever changes for me. This is when most people quit. They decide it's not working, and they give up. But listen to me carefully. This is the most critical moment. This is when the real work is happening beneath the surface. Think of it like planting a seed. When you plant a seed in the ground, for days, even weeks, you see nothing. The ground looks exactly the same, but underneath, invisible to your eyes, that seed is breaking open. Roots are growing down. The plant is gathering strength. And if you dig up the seed to check on it, you kill it. You must trust the process. You must have faith in the law. The desert period is when your faith is being tested. It's when you're choosing between the testimony of your senses and the truth of spiritual law. This is when you must persist. This is when you must do the practice even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. Because discipline is what bridges the gap between inspiration and transformation. Anyone can do something when they're excited. The question is, will you do it when you're discouraged? Will you do it when you see no evidence? Will you do it when every fiber of your being wants to quit? If you push through the desert period, if you keep speaking truth into your water every morning and every evening with faith and feeling, something begins to shift around week 4 or 5. You start to notice small things. Maybe you sleep better. Maybe you have more energy. Maybe someone says something kind to you out of nowhere. Maybe you feel a little lighter, a little more hopeful. These are green shoots. These are signs that your seed is beginning to grow. And once you see those first signs, faith becomes easier. You start to believe. You start to trust. And as your faith grows, the manifestations accelerate. By month 2, you're seeing clear changes. Not just in your feelings, but in your circumstances. Opportunities appear. Problems resolve themselves. People show up to help you. Money comes. Health improves. Relationships heal. Whatever you're working on, you start to see real, tangible evidence that this works. By month 3, something profound happens. The new state of consciousness becomes natural. You're not trying to believe anymore. You just believe. You're not pretending to be abundant or healthy or peaceful. You are abundant, you are healthy, you are peaceful in your consciousness. And when that happens, when the new assumption becomes automatic, your outer world rapidly reshapes itself to match. This is when people start calling it a miracle. But you'll know it's not a miracle. It's law. It's consciousness creating reality, just as it always has, just as it always will. I want to tell you one more story before we close. This one is very personal to me. There was a time in my ministry when I felt like a complete failure. I had been teaching these principles for years. I had written books. I had counseled thousands of people. And yet I looked at my own life and saw so much lack, so much struggle. I was working so hard, and it felt like I was getting nowhere. My finances were a mess. My health was declining. I was exhausted. And worst of all, I felt like a fraud. How could I teach others about the power of consciousness when I couldn't seem to master it myself? One evening, I was sitting alone in my study. It was late. Everyone else was asleep. And I just broke down. I wept. I said, God, I don't understand. I'm teaching your truth. I'm helping people. Why am I still struggling? Why does it seem like the law works for everyone but me? And in that moment of complete surrender, of complete honesty, I heard something. Not an audible voice, but a knowing. A clarity. And what I heard was this. You teach the law beautifully, but you don't live it. You preach faith, but you live in fear. You tell others to assume they're good, but you assume lack for yourself. It was like being struck by lightning. I saw it so clearly. I had all this knowledge in my head, but I wasn't embodying it. I wasn't living it. I was trying to change my circumstances through effort, through work, through doing more and more. But I wasn't changing my consciousness. I wasn't impressing my subconscious with the truth of abundance, health, success. I was impressing it every day with thoughts of struggle, worry, not enough. That night, I made a decision. I was going to practice what I preached. I was going to take one simple practice and do it religiously, faithfully, without exception. And the practice I chose was this water practice. Every morning and every evening, without fail, I would speak truth into water and drink it with absolute faith. I chose my affirmation carefully. I am divinely guided. I am abundantly prospered. I am vibrantly healthy. I am fulfilled in my purpose. I am an instrument of divine love. For the first month, it was hard. I'm being honest with you. My circumstances didn't change. In fact, they got worse for a while. More bills came. My health got worse before it got better. And every day, my mind would scream at me, you're lying to yourself. This isn't working. You're still broke. You're still sick. You're still failing. But I persisted. I remembered what I taught others. Don't judge by appearances. The law is working even when you can't see it. Stay faithful to your assumption. And then, slowly, things began to change. An old debt was forgiven. A church member offered to help with my medical expenses. I received an unexpected royalty check from a book I'd written years before. My health began to improve. I had more energy. My sleep got better. But more than any of these external changes, I changed. I stopped feeling like a victim. I stopped feeling like a failure. I started to actually believe what I'd been teaching all those years. I am a child of God. I am worthy. I am blessed. I am prospered. Within 6 months, my entire life had transformed. My finances were stable. My health was better than it had been in years. My ministry was thriving. But none of that mattered as much as the internal transformation. I had finally become what I had been trying to teach. I had closed the gap between knowledge and embodiment. And I can tell you from the depth of my being, it was the water practice that did it. That simple daily ritual of speaking truth to myself, of impressing my subconscious with faith and feeling, of taking that truth into my body as a physical sacrament. So when I teach you this practice tonight, I'm not teaching theory, I'm not sharing philosophy I read in a book, I'm sharing what saved my life. I'm sharing what transformed me from a struggling teacher to a living testimony of these principles. And I'm telling you with absolute conviction, if it worked for me, it will work for you. The law is no respecter of persons. It works for everyone who applies it correctly. You don't have to be special. You don't have to be enlightened. You don't have to have some rare spiritual gift. You just have to be willing. Willing to try. Willing to persist. Willing to have faith even when you see no evidence. Willing to speak truth to yourself every single day, even when your circumstances scream that you're lying. Because here's what I've learned. Your circumstances are the past. They're the result of your old consciousness. When you change your consciousness, your circumstances must eventually follow. But there's always a lag. There's always a gap. And that gap is where faith lives. Faith is continuing to impress your subconscious with your desired state, even when nothing has changed yet in the outer world. Faith is drinking your water every morning and saying, I am healed when your body still hurts. Faith is saying, I am abundant when your bank account is still empty. Faith is saying, I am at peace when anxiety is still knocking at your door. This is faith. Not hoping it will change, knowing it must change. Because you're changing at the level of consciousness, and consciousness is the only reality. Let me give you one more piece of wisdom that has served me throughout my life. Whatever you're struggling with right now, whatever seems impossible, whatever has you lying awake at night in worry and fear, I want you to understand something. That problem, that circumstance, that situation, it has no power except the power you give it through your belief. The illness has no power. The poverty has no power. The loneliness has no power. The fear has no power. Not in themselves. They're effects, not causes. The only cause is consciousness. When you stop giving power to the problem, and start giving power to the solution, when you stop impressing your subconscious with the reality you don't want, and start impressing it with the reality you do want, everything changes. And the water practice is the simplest, most direct way I know to do this. Every time you drink that water, you're declaring, this is what's real, this is what's true. This is who I am, this is what I accept. And your subconscious mind, your faithful servant, says yes, master, and goes to work creating conditions that match your declaration. Now I want to address something that comes up often when I teach this. People ask me, Joseph, is this just self-hypnosis? Is this just fooling myself? And my answer is this. In one sense, yes, you are impressing your subconscious mind, which is what hypnosis does. But you're not fooling yourself. You're unfooling yourself. Because the fool is the person who believes they're limited, powerless, separate from God. The fool is the person who believes their circumstances define them. The fool is the person who gives power to conditions instead of giving power to consciousness. When you claim I am healed, I am abundant, I am at peace, you're not creating a delusion. You're recognizing truth. Because in divine mind, in infinite intelligence, these states already exist. You're not creating health. Health already exists as a state of consciousness. You're aligning yourself with it. You're tuning into its frequency. You're claiming your inheritance. This is not fooling yourself. This is waking up to who you really are. You are not a body that has a soul. You are a soul that has a body. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are consciousness itself, creating circumstances through your beliefs, your assumptions, your states of being. And when you understand this, when you really grasp this, everything changes. You stop trying to fix problems at the level of the problem. You go to the source. You change consciousness. And when consciousness changes, problems dissolve because they never had any reality except the reality you gave them. This is deep wisdom, my friend. This is what all the great teachers have taught throughout history. Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within you. He didn't say it's up in the sky somewhere. He said it's within you. Right now. All states exist within you. Health exists within you. Abundance exists within you. Peace exists within you. Love exists within you. You don't have to go anywhere to find them. You don't have to become worthy of them. You just have to claim them. You just have to assume them. You just have to align your consciousness with them. And the water practice is your daily reminder of this truth. Every morning, you're saying, I am not a beggar asking God for scraps. I am a child of the Most High, claiming my divine inheritance. Every evening, you're saying, I don't have to wait for circumstances to change before I can feel good. I can feel good now, in consciousness, and circumstances will follow. This is the great reversal. This is the secret that changes everything. Most people wait for conditions to change before they allow themselves to feel differently. I'll be happy when I'm healed. I'll feel peaceful when my problems are solved. I'll feel abundant when I have money. But this is backwards. This is why they stay stuck forever. Because you must feel it first. You must be it in consciousness first. And then conditions arrange themselves to match. The water practice trains you in this reversal. You speak, I am healed, and you generate the feeling of being healed before you have physical evidence. You speak, I am abundant, and you feel wealthy before your bank account reflects it. You speak, I am at peace, and you enter that state of peace before your problems are solved. This is living from the end. This is assuming the state. This is impressing your subconscious. This is how the law works. Now let me talk about something else that's important. What if you've been hurt? What if you're carrying trauma, pain, wounds from the past? What if you have good reasons to feel afraid, to feel limited, to feel broken? I want you to know I honor your experience. I'm not suggesting you just ignore your pain or pretend it doesn't exist. What I'm suggesting is that you don't let your past define your future. You don't let what happened to you determine what's possible for you. Your past is in consciousness. It's a memory. It's an impression. And just as you can change any impression on your subconscious mind, you can change the power your past has over you. This doesn't mean you forget what happened. It means you stop rehearsing it. You stop replaying it. You stop identifying with it. You stop saying, I am a damaged person because of what happened to me. Instead, you start saying, I am whole. I am healed. I am free. I am moving forward. I am creating a new future. And every time you drink your water, you're washing away the old and accepting the new. Water is purifying. Water is cleansing. Water is renewing. As you drink, you can visualize all the old pain, all the old trauma, all the old limiting beliefs dissolving. See them as dark clouds being washed away by pure, clear light. And in their place, feel yourself being filled with wholeness, with love, with infinite possibility. This is not denying your past. This is refusing to be imprisoned by it. This is choosing freedom. And my friend, you deserve freedom. I don't care what happened to you. I don't care what mistakes you've made. I don't care how many times you've failed. You deserve freedom. You deserve healing. You deserve abundance. You deserve love. You deserve peace. You deserve joy. Not because you've earned it, not because you've been perfect, but because you are a beloved child of infinite intelligence. This is your birthright. So if shame comes up when you try to claim you're good, if a voice says you don't deserve this, recognize that voice for what it is. It's not truth. It's not God. It's just old programming. It's just the voice of fear. And you can speak to that voice with authority. You can say, no, I reject that belief. I am worthy. Not because of what I've done, but because of what I am. I am an expression of the divine. I am made in the image and likeness of God. I am inherently worthy. and I claim my good now. Use your water practice to reinforce your worthiness every single day. Let every sip be a reminder that you are loved, you are valuable, you are enough exactly as you are. And as you do this day after day, that old voice of shame will get quieter. That old belief in unworthiness will dissolve. And a new identity will emerge. An identity rooted in truth. An identity rooted in your divine nature. I also want to talk about persistence, because this is where so many people fail. They start strong. They're committed for a week, maybe 2 weeks. They do the practice faithfully. But then life gets busy. They forget one morning. They skip one evening. Then they skip a day. Then 2 days. Then a week. And before they know it, they've completely abandoned the practice. And of course, without the practice, without the daily impression on the subconscious, they slide back into old patterns. Nothing changes. And they conclude it doesn't work. But it does work. The law always works. The question is, are you working the law? Are you applying it consistently? See, transformation requires repetition. You didn't develop your current beliefs overnight. They were formed over years, decades even, through constant repetition of certain thoughts, certain words, certain feelings. To change them, you need to create new repetition. You need to impress new beliefs through constant practice. This is why I always say commit to 90 days minimum. That's not an arbitrary number. It's based on how long it typically takes for a new pattern to become established in the subconscious mind. Some people need less time. Some need more. But 90 days is a good target. It's long enough to see real results, but not so long that it feels overwhelming. So make a commitment to yourself right now. For the next 90 days, I will do this practice every single morning and every single evening without exception. Put it in your calendar, set reminders, tell someone you trust about your commitment, and ask them to help keep you accountable. Do whatever you need to do to ensure you follow through. Because this is your life we're talking about. This is your consciousness. This is your connection to infinite intelligence. This deserves your commitment. And here's what I promise you. If you do this faithfully for 90 days, you will be a different person. Not maybe. Not possibly. You will be different. Your consciousness will have shifted. Your beliefs about yourself and your life will have changed. And your circumstances will be changing to reflect your new consciousness. This is not hope. This is not wishful thinking. This is law.